Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Squat wisely with a brand new audiobook. Visit http://www.audibletrial.com/squat and get a free audiobook with your 30-day trial membership.
She is a passionate philosophy professor,
fitness professional,
and motivational speaker. She helps strengthen the body, but she also helps strengthen the mind.
The mind?
The mind. For well over a decade, she has led philosophy courses within the university system of Georgia.
She leads group fitness classes in Atlanta,
as well as leading one-on-one personal training sessions. Let's all squat wisely with Kristen Hester.
There's a saying that goes, life is what happens when you've made other plans. Well, that happened to me today. I am so thankful for the guest that I was able to interview today, because the guest I had scheduled to interview was basically a no-show. So it happens in this beautiful world of podcasting, but it's also great when you can meet people who you didn't even intend to meet. And that is my guest for today. She is a powerful businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur, and she is going to grace us with her wisdom on today. And it was all last minute, and I'm very thankful that she granted me some of her time. If you are thinking about starting your own business, if you're thinking about even quitting your own job and just taking a leap of faith, well, maybe you need to meet the person who I'm going to have on the show today, because her story, her example could be an inspiration for you. What she offers through her business, through her coaching, that could be the very thing that you need to set your life and your business life on fire. So please stay tuned, and I hope that you will enjoy my discussion with my guest for today.
Get a world-class motivational speaker to your next event. Kristen Hester offers professional speaking services in Atlanta, Georgia, and beyond. To hire Kristen, visit www.kristenspeaks.com. Kristen.
You are listening to the Squat Wisely podcast, and today we get to meet Mrs. Charique Richardson. Charique, welcome to the Squat Wisely podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to learn all about you. I know you're getting ready to launch your own podcast. I want my listeners to learn everything about what you have going on, and just tell us a little bit about who you are as a person and a businesswoman.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. My business is sales coaching, and I work with women who are established in their business, but they're in that growth phase. And so I help them answer that question of what's next and where do I want my business to go, and specifically in terms of sales, because I know that's the biggest thing right now, is really able to grow your business and be able to sell and promote yourself so that you can eventually build and grow a successful, thriving business and eventually scale it and have more of a life. And so that's my ultimate goal, is to build empires while you have a life and you're not on the computer all day.
Definitely. So how did you get into business?
Well, it was my major in school. I have an MBA in marketing. And after I graduated, I went to FAMU, I'm a Rattler. After I graduated, I went to work for Pfizer as a pharmaceutical sales rep. And that's where the whole sales component came from. I was very, successful, came in there, quiet, introverted woman, and was able to reach number one several times, win awards and trips, and really find myself and really come into my own as a businesswoman. And so when it came time for me to start my business, after working, not only at Pfizer, but in Duke as a manager and doing a lot of high-level projects there, I said, well, definitely sales. If you can't sell, you don't have a business. Because if you're not making money, if you're not selling, you're not making money. And if you're not making money, you have no business. And so I knew that was a perfect thing to do for me, to show and share how I was successful, but not only in the sales portion, but also in the marketing and promotion side as well.
So during your business journey, what are some of the ups and downs that you have experienced that have actually made you a much better business person today?
The main thing I would say is setting boundaries. I realize, a lot of us may be heart-centered and you want the best and you want to really believe the best, but you have to really set policies and boundaries in the very beginning, as far as how do you deal with no-shows, how you deal with people who don't pay, the very sensitive areas, you need to really have those things in place so that you can handle that. And that's a lesson that I've had to learn, unfortunately, is to do that. I learned the hard way. But now I know, and now I can, show someone else how to avoid the same mistake.
So have you completely walked away from corporate America?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the courage to really just quit the job and dive out there and make it happen.
Well, it was courageous, but it was also, I just got to the point where I was just so fed up. I was a manager for a clinic at Duke, and I went from the admin assistant to the manager of the clinic, and it was very high profile. But as you know, when you go up, it's a lot of thorns. You go up, a lot of people are not happy for your success. So it was a lot of politics, a lot of situations that I found myself into that just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So it's more of a dissatisfaction. Plus, I've always had the itch to start a business. I have a very entrepreneurial family. So it was more or less like, okay, now is definitely the time. I reached what I thought was the top, and I didn't like it. And I said, there's got to be something better than this. And that's when I really dug deeper to see, okay, what skills are needed in business? What can I do? What gap can I fill? And then I pursued, my now business that I have now.
Awesome. And so when you do launch your podcast, what are some of the lessons and tips that you'll be giving your listeners?
Definitely on promoting yourself, challenging yourself, pushing yourself, but also, like I talked about before, setting boundaries, how to have systems in place to avoid a lot of the common mistakes that we make as women. And I would say particularly sometimes Christian women, especially because we tend to want to have that giving. You want to just give it all away, and you want to just help everybody. But you have to really be very targeted and realize that you are running a business, and that just because you're a Christian, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you don't have to conduct your business as everyone else does. So I really talk about lessons learned as far as that's concerned, but also in ways that you can scale your business through sales, through marketing, through your mindset, which is very, very key. How to prepare yourself for developing an abundance mindset of not thinking too small about your pricing, your offerings, and how much of you that you give to your clients. And so those are some of the things I'll talk about.
I can also tell you are an awesome multitasker. Your child is in the background, so it's totally fine that everybody can hear your child. You are driving and doing this interview, and you are a woman on the go, on the move, and you're making things happen for yourself. For those women who see, motherhood as an obstacle, having to run errands as an obstacle, and using that as an excuse to not really dive out there into business, how would you encourage them to embrace all that comes with life and still go forward in business?
Right. Actually, and you're right. It is an excuse, and it can be a crutch, but only if you let it. For instance, my kids are in school, so I know that my peak hours are from 8:30 to about 2:30. So I work hard to get as much as I can done during that time so that when they're home, I'm present and I'm able to be with them. I also keep a schedule, a dedicated schedule in Google Maps and Google Calendar. So I have my days for content strategies, my days for on the phone, the other days where I wrap up, typically my Fridays, any admin duties. And so it really comes down to setting a schedule, looking at the available time that you have and making sure that you are really focused and using your time wisely. I have working out. My time in the gym is on my calendar. So I make myself even do self-care so that I'm not forgetting myself while I'm taking care of everyone else. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's all very important.
Yeah, so glad you mentioned working out because my podcast is real big about working out.
Oh, good. Yes.
So that's awesome. And also, so far you have already given some great tips just on just how to live and how to be a woman in business and how to move forward in life. How can people connect with you personally and tap into some of the services that you offer through your business?
Oh, yes. You can go to I have a Facebook business page. It's Charique Richardson, MBA, sales coach. Charique Turner Richardson is my personal page, and that's where Turner is my maiden name. So if you know me back in the day, you knew me as Charique Turner. So you can find me. My website is ChariqueLRichardson.com. I'm on Instagram as Charique_Sells, like SELS. as well as Twitter. That's my same Twitter feed. So you can find me. My first name is unique. So typically when you type it in, my name, my picture will pop up because it's not a common name. And, but yeah, you can connect with me there. You can see my services on my website and see what I'm offering. And, yeah, reach out, send me a friend request and connect.
Awesome. Well, before we close out the interview, you have to give us some great wisdom, a quote that you live by. It can be your own quote, a quote that you respect, and tell us the quote and what makes that quote profound.
I would say for me, it's a scripture, and that's something that really carries me through, especially on days where I feel like, oh my gosh, I just can't. And that is, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And that's really speaks to a lot of what I hear about, consistency. And no one's listening to me, or those days you feel like you don't want to do anything, or you don't believe that you can make it. And that scripture really carries me through. And also trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, that things are not always as they seem. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening and it's not working on your behalf.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Charique. You have blessed us with some great wisdom today. I am so thankful for your time, and thank you for offering my listeners at Squat Wisely some of your wisdom on today.
Oh, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It was so cool to meet Charique Richardson on today. Again, I met her totally on accident, but they say nothing ever happens by accident. There is always a reason for every encounter. There is always a lesson behind every person that comes into your life. And one of the takeaways that I embraced from my talk with her, again, completely unplanned interview for today, is when she talked about basically, not underestimating yourself as a woman in business, meaning don't undervalue yourself. I know I'm learning that myself. When I started out, trying to do things in business, you try to do things for free. You try to do things really, really cheap. And you do those things because you feel like, okay, I got to get my name out there. So, I don't want people, to feel I'm pricing myself out of business. So let me at least be cheap enough where people will consider what I have to offer. But what happens sometimes, you kind of get stuck there. So it's like, on the one hand, you do want people to learn about who you are, and you do want them to kind of try you out without making a hefty investment. But you have to be careful that you don't feel limited to just that. You can grow beyond that. You do have worth in your business. You do have worth in what it is you're willing to offer to your potential clients. And that's the hard lesson, I think, sometimes for a lot of people, especially if you have a good heart, because I know of people who are in business and they think nothing about overcharging people. It's people that I know personally who, on purpose, they have very high prices for potential clients. And I mean, it's for stuff that really doesn't even need to be that expensive, but they do it anyway without thinking about it. And when you have a heart for people and you're trying to do the right thing and you don't want to have shady business practices, sometimes your kindness will keep you at those low rates when actually you are worthy enough to charge a little bit more. You don't have to make it crazy high, but you can put it at a value that is worthy of what it is you're willing to offer. And there will be people who will be willing to pay whatever your fee is, whatever your business is. So that was my takeaway from talking to Charique Richardson on today. And I'm sure you had your own takeaway. I'm sure there's something she said that stood out. I'm so thankful that you are listening to the Squat Wisely podcast today. If you are enjoying the show or past episodes, please feel free to head over to the Squat Wisely Facebook page and give our page a like. You can subscribe to Squat Wisely by searching Squat Wisely on iTunes, on Stitcher, and you can also listen to the show from iHeartRadio. Just search Squat Wisely. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. I'll be back next time to do this all over again.
Jordis A1 Solutions has a fitness solution just for you. For your personal training needs, we serve clients who reside in Atlanta, Georgia, and nearby cities. We also help clients to achieve their goals online as well. To inquire, visit Jordis.com. Jordis is Jortis.
You've been listening to the Squat Wisely podcast. Professor Kristen Hester is a philosophy professor, fitness professional, and motivational speaker. For well over a decade, she's led philosophy courses within the university system of Georgia. Kristen leads group fitness classes in Atlanta, as well as leading one-on-one personal training.